get into topic number one. So we gotta react to what we saw in the final bout between Gennady Golovkin and Canelo Alvarez. Man, they finally finished off their trilogy. We saw Canelo Alvarez with a unanimous decision, unlike what we saw in the first two fights. Of course, it happened a number of years later. Q, go ahead, bro. Give me your take on what you saw transpire between Gennady and Canelo on this past weekend, bro, in regards to that fight. Did it live up to what you expected? Did it live up to the hype? Was it a dud? What did you think about each fighter's performance?
I will say, I was looking for some high drama, and it was a little underwhelming in that aspect. Just because I just felt like I want to see somebody get stopped. I thought it was going to be somebody getting stopped, and then late, we talked about it or text about it, like as it approaches, and I'm like, I don't really think that Canelo is going to get Triple G out of there. I think Triple G is going to last, but initially I thought Canelo would stop Triple G in maybe 8 rounds. Coming into this fight, because I feel like he was building every time he got better, and like the first fight, Triple G basically applied a lot of pressure on Canelo. In the second fight, Canelo backed Triple G up.
Right.
Made Triple G fight backwards. Triple G don't really fight backwards. In this fight, Canelo was more the aggressor. I just felt like, and Triple G was a lot less effective. Of course, he moved up 8 pounds, fought at 168 for the first time, turned 40 years old. A lot of years done came and went since their last bout. He done been in some battles, and at this juncture, man, I just feel like I wasn't surprised at all. I sort of felt like Canelo, I mean, it was a dominant performance on his end, but I felt like after the Bivol loss and after a lot of the things that I feel like that transpired with Canelo, I just feel like he need to come out and put a real stamp. It was an amazing performance, but it wasn't anything I didn't expect.
Right.
It didn't look like you could really hurt. He landed some real good shots, and he put his stamp on him and a lot, but I just never feel like Triple G was in danger of getting stopped. So It was underwhelming from that aspect. But I mean, Canelo did what he had to do when he finally got separation. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't close at all. I mean, salute to Canelo.
Yeah.
He got to have surgery or something on his wrist, I heard. He probably won't return anytime soon. But yeah, I mean, it was a decent scrap. I mean, Triple G did what he could. He on the way. I think he's on his way out, man.
Yeah. I ain't gonna lie, man. For me, bro, Triple G looked every bit of 40 years old, bro. He looked every bit of 40 years old, man. You just alluded to it, bro. That absolutely was not the fight. That was not the fight between those two that we saw in the first two fights. Nowhere near fight number one. Nowhere near fight number two. With Triple G, it's interesting, bro, that he ended up lasting. But what I will admit is that Triple G, you could tell he knew that, I'm 40 years old and I can't go toe-to-toe with Canelo anymore. And I believe that Triple G knew if he attempted to go toe-to-toe with Canelo Alvarez, it was going to be doomsday. It was going to be a knockout if he attempted to go toe-to-toe and press forward like he did in the first fight. Because at the end of the day, man, Father Time defeats everything. And when you 40, you 40. And at that point, you're just not the young, youthful self that you were when you were younger. So for the first time in this trilogy, we saw where Gennady Golovkin didn't just back up and fight off the back foot. Gennady Golovkin was literally trying to move around and box. He wasn't really trying to honestly, truly engage with Canelo Alvarez. Right. So it was one of those situations, bro, where, I mean, it was a little bit of a letdown, but not very unexpected, bro. Because like I said, I knew that Triple G being 40 years of age, there's only so much you could expect of a fighter to be at an elite level when they're 40 years old, especially against a Canelo Alvarez still in his prime. So none of that was overly surprising. I think they built the fight up well, and it was a bit underwhelming, but that's to be expected. It's good to see Triple G get that retirement check. I heard a lot of fighters after the fight, say that they like to see Triple G go ahead on and retire and get on out the game after getting this Canelo payday, which quite possibly he will, because we all know that he was only hanging around the sport for that trilogy bout. He was really only hoping to get that last hurrah against Canelo, and now that's over and done with. So we'll see, man, if Triple G really retires. He hasn't announced it yet, but with Canelo, bro, I agree with you. Canelo fought well, but it still shows that Canelo's not gonna quite knock out elite opponents when they box well. Because while Triple G, because here's the intriguing thing, bro. You know what's so wild about it? And I don't know if I saw it like this, Q, but as much as Triple G showed his age at 40, bruh, two judges still had the bout 115, 113.
Yeah.
Meaning that if Triple G just fights a bit better for one more round decisively, we're looking at another draw. So I thought that was intriguing with how the judges saw that fight and how even that performance from Triple G against Canelo was only one round from a draw.
Crazy.
So, I mean, yeah, so with Canelo, man, it was a good performance, but it probably wasn't a flashy, spectacular performance. But we'll see what happens in his next fight, though, bro.
You know, in my opinion, my boy, like, you know, you went to 175. Okay, we saw what happened. You know, you fought a top notch 175. You know, that happened. And went back down to 168, and you fought 160 pounder. That's
right.
Elite boxer, but older. It's more intriguing. I just feel like Canelo's more vulnerable to David Benavidez. He's more vulnerable to, you know. I want to see him against the elite at that.
Right.
I'm very intrigued about that. I'm ready to see that. And I love the pressure that they're putting on him. And there's only one thing you can do, baby. Everybody look. You got to do something.
You got to do something, man. We
got
hey, bro. We got Benavidez. We got Charlo. We got Demetrius Andrade.
Right.
We got a list of names out there, bro. That's all waiting on him, man. So we'll see what shakes, bro.